performance measurement standards, there are considerable differences in terminology, methodology, and attitude to performance measurement throughout the world. The main aims of the first edition were to 1. Provide a reference of the available methodologies and to hopefully provide some consistency in their definition. 2. Promote the role of performance measurers. 3. Provide some insights into the tools available to performance measurers. 4. Share my practical experience. The motivation to write the first edition was simply to provide the book I most wanted to read as a performance analyst, which did not exist at the time. The motivation to write the second edition came from the readers of the first edition. Their praise, comments, corrections, and requests encouraged me to expand and improve the material in the second edition. The gap between the first and second editions was a mere 4 years. 14 years later, I write this third edition. The motivation for this third edition is more intense. I wish to share the invaluable experience gained from running performance measurement and risk control teams for an entire career, chairing a performance analytics company for 17 years, setting standards with the CFA Institute for 27 years, and above all, teaching performance analytics worldwide for 25 years. That experience shouldn't go to waste. Since the first edition, I'm pleased to say that the CFA Institute have launched the Certificate in Investment Performance, CIPM, designation, which further reinforces the role of performance measurement and is a major step in developing performance measurement as a professional activity. I can certainly recommend the CIPM course of study, and I'm pleased to say I have successfully achieved the CIPM designation. The CIPM curriculum has also to some degree influenced the content of this third edition. With practical examples, this book should meet the needs of performance analysts, portfolio managers, senior management within asset management firms, custodians, verifiers, and the ultimate asset owners. I'm particularly pleased that this third edition provides access to an Excel spreadsheet that includes all of the practical examples used throughout the book. Apologies to listeners who believe there are slightly too many worked examples within this program, but I regard worked examples as an essential part of the learning and explanation process. The role of performance analysts. Performance measurement is a key function in an asset management firm. It deserves better than to be grouped with the back office. Performance analysts provide real added value with feedback into the investment decision process and analysis of structural issues. Since their role is to understand in full and make transparent and communicate the sources of return and risk within portfolios, they are often the only independent source equipped to understand the performance of all the portfolios and strategies within the asset management firm. Performance analysts are in effect alternative risk controllers, able to protect the firm from rogue managers and the unfortunate impact of failing to meet client expectations. My aim has been to present all approaches and methodologies as fairly as possible. It is not always possible to hide my preferences, prejudices, and ignorance, but in this edition, I've attempted to highlight my views as clearly identified notes, cautions, and interpretations. Book structure. Chapter 2 is naturally a brief description of the asset management industry from the perspective of a performance analyst. The remaining chapters are structured in the same order as the performance measurement process itself, namely Chapter 3, Calculation of Portfolio Returns, Chapter 4, Comparison against an appropriate benchmark, Chapter 5, Proper assessment of the reward received for the risk taken, Chapter 6, Attribution of the sources of excess return, Chapter 7, Global Investment Performance Standards, and Chapter 8, Bringing it all together, Presentation and Communication. In Chapter 3, the what of performance measurement is introduced, describing the many forms of return calculation, including the relative merits of each method together with calculation examples. Performance gross and net of fees is discussed as well as performance fee structures. Performance returns in isolation add little value. We must compare these returns against a suitable benchmark. Chapter 4 discusses the merits of good and bad benchmarks and examines the detailed calculation of commercial and customized indexes. Excess return is discussed in detail. Chapter 5 is an attempt to catalog and describe all the available ex-post risk measures used by performance analysts, including suggestions for consistent definitions where such definitions are lacking. The chapter concludes with an attempt to illustrate the relationship of risk measures to each other in terms of a periodic table of risk measures. Together with Chapter 5, Chapter 6 is the core of this edition, attempting to answer the why of performance measurement. Attribution is a broad subject. The early development of return attribution is covered, leading to a fundamental examination.